The massive alien ship appeared without warning. One moment, the space beyond Mars was empty. The next, a vessel larger than any human structure ever built hung silently against the backdrop of stars. Global detection systems went crazy as scientists and military personnel rushed to confirm what their instruments were telling them. In homes across Earth, televisions, radios, phones, and computers suddenly displayed the same message. The regular programming disappeared, replaced by an image of a being unlike anything humans had ever seen. Its skin was pale blue with patterns that seemed to shift like oil on water. 6 dark eyes blinked in an unsettling rhythm as it began to speak in perfect English. People of Earth, we are the Venturi Collective. Your planet has been selected for integration into our expanding territory. You will surrender 30% of your natural resources and accept our protection and guidance. Resistance is pointless. You have 72 hours to inform your leaders to comply. If you refuse, we will demonstrate our power in ways your species cannot survive. The message repeated in every major language. Then screens returned to normal, leaving behind a timer counting down from 72 hours. At NASA headquarters in Houston, Dr. Alan Morris stared at the playback of the message for the 5th time. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, his coffee long cold beside his keyboard. "Play it again," he said to his assistant. "There's something about the way they speak." "Dr. Morris," a voice called from the doorway. Major Samantha Kelly stood there, her Air Force uniform slightly wrinkled after the emergency flight from Washington. "The President wants your assessment in 30 minutes. Please tell me you have something." Alan ran his hand through his graying hair. "Maybe. Look at the background behind the alien. See how the air seems to shimmer? And the way they blink when speaking about our planet? I think they're uncomfortable with something about Earth itself." "That's not much to go on," Kelly said, crossing her arms. "It's all we have right now. We need to buy time." Halfway across the world, the United Nations Security Council chamber was filled beyond capacity. World leaders who would normally send representatives had come in person. The room buzzed with dozens of languages as diplomats argued about how to respond. President Eleanor Wright of the United States stood at the podium, her normally perfect posture showing signs of strain. "We cannot give in to threats," she said, firmly. "But we also cannot ignore the technological gap between our civilizations. I propose we request a meeting with these Venturi to discuss terms while our scientists and military assess our options." The Chinese premier shook his head. "And show weakness immediately? We should demonstrate that Earth will not be easily conquered." The debate continued as the timer ticked down. Back in Houston, Alan worked with his team around the clock. They analyzed every frame of the alien message, compared it with known atmospheric conditions on Earth, and ran simulations on possible vulnerabilities. "Look at this," said Olivia Martinez, a brilliant young engineer who specialized in environmental systems. She pointed to her screen where she had isolated the alien's breathing pattern. "They're filtering something. The ship must have different atmospheric conditions than Earth. What if our air is actually poisonous to them?" Alan's eyes widened. "That would explain the protective suits we see on their bodies. Oxygen might be toxic to their system." Major Kelly, who had stayed to coordinate with NASA, immediately pulled out her phone. "I need to get this to the Joint Chiefs immediately." In Washington, the National Security Council met in the Situation Room. Maps and satellite images covered the walls as military leaders presented their assessment. "We have nothing that can touch that ship," General William Payne said bluntly. "Our most advanced missiles would be like throwing rocks at a tank." President Wright studied the faces around the table. "Then we need something they don't expect. Dr. Morris believes they may have biological vulnerabilities to Earth's atmosphere. What if we use that?" "How?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "We can't reach their ship." "Not yet," the President replied. "But if they plan to land forces, they'll be exposed." The countdown reached 24 hours. Around the world, people reacted in different ways. Some prayed, some looted. Many families huddled together at home, watching the news for updates. In major cities, crowds gathered in silent vigil, their faces illuminated by candles and phone screens showing the ever-decreasing Timer. At NASA, Alan made a breakthrough. The transmission contains subtle harmonics that suggest they're communicating on frequencies we normally ignore. If we broadcast on those same frequencies, we could talk to them directly. Olivia finished his thought. Major Kelly immediately arranged for the equipment they needed. Within hours, they had rigged a system to send a message on the alien frequency. Alan carefully crafted a response requesting dialogue and suggesting a neutral location for a meeting. They waited. Nothing happened. Maybe they didn't receive it, Olivia suggested. Or maybe they don't care what we have to say. Kelly added grimly. The countdown reached 5 hours when President Wright made her decision. She appeared on television screens worldwide. "My fellow citizens of Earth," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "In a few hours we face an unprecedented challenge. The Vanturi demand our surrender and our resources. After consulting with leaders around the world, our answer is simple. We refuse." Gasps could be heard in news studios broadcasting her speech. "Humanity will not bow to threats. We will not surrender our home. We stand together, all nations, all peoples, against those who would take what we have built through generations of struggle and triumph. If the Vanturi want Earth, they will find that humans do not surrender easily." The world held its breath as the timer reached 0. The alien appeared on screens once more. "Your decision is noted. We will now demonstrate why resistance is futile." Minutes later, reports came in of explosions at remote military bases in Siberia, the Australian outback, and the Sahara Desert. Perfectly targeted strikes that destroyed installations while avoiding civilian casualties. "A warning," Major Kelly said as they watched satellite footage of the destruction. "They could have hit major cities." Alan nodded, then suddenly straightened in his chair. "Wait, look at the attack pattern. They're hitting targets away from major water sources and high humidity areas. They're avoiding our oceans entirely." "Water," Olivia whispered. "Could it be that simple?" "Get me the president," Alan said urgently. "I think I know how we can fight back." President Wright listened carefully to Alan's theory, then smiled for the first time in 3 days. "So they've come to take our planet without realizing it's their weakness? Dr. Morris, implement your plan immediately. Major Kelly, coordinate with all armed forces. The Vanturi thought we would simply surrender. They're about to learn that humans have been waiting for someone to push us this far." Across Earth, people prepared for what would come next. Not in surrender, but in defiance. The world watched in horror as the alien attacks continued. Military bases in remote locations were reduced to craters. The Vanturi message was clear: surrender or face destruction. But instead of breaking human resolve, the attacks strengthened. In underground bunkers across the globe, leaders coordinated their response. The plan that Dr. Alan Morris proposed was simple but risky. If water and Earth's humidity truly affected the Vanturi, humanity needed to use this advantage before the aliens realized their weakness. "Our satellites show the alien ship has not moved," Major Samantha Kelly reported during an emergency video conference. "They're staying beyond Mars orbit and launching smaller vessels for the attacks." President Eleanor Wright nodded. "That confirms Dr. Morris's theory. They don't want to enter our atmosphere directly. We need to draw them closer," said Alan. "Make them think we're more vulnerable than we are." Within hours, a bold plan took shape. Earth would appear to consider surrender while preparing its real response. Military forces worldwide were ordered to stand down, creating the illusion that humanity was giving up. President Wright addressed the Vanturi with a carefully crafted message. "We wish to discuss the terms of your demands. Our leaders request a meeting with your representatives to arrange the transfer of resources." The Vanturi responded quickly. A smaller ship would enter Earth orbit the next day. They would send delegates to meet with human leaders at a location of their choosing. "They took the bait," Olivia Martinez said as the team at NASA watched the alien craft begin its approach toward Earth. "But will our plan work?" Alan studied the data streaming in from sensors tracking the alien vessel. "Look at their approach vector. They're being extremely careful to stay in the upper atmosphere where there's less moisture." The meeting site was set for a location in the Arizona desert, one of the driest places on Earth. The Venturi, clearly, thought this would give them an advantage. They didn't realize it was exactly what the humans wanted. As dawn broke over the desert, a small group of world leaders gathered in a hastily constructed meeting facility. President Wright was joined by representatives from Russia, China, the European Union, and several other nations. They waited as a Venturi shuttle descended from the sky. 3 aliens emerged, each wearing what looked like protective suits. Their movements were careful and deliberate as they entered the building. "We are prepared to accept your surrender," the lead Venturi stated without preamble. "You will sign these agreements transferring resource rights and acknowledging our authority." President Wright smiled calmly. "Before we proceed, we have prepared refreshments. It's a human custom to share food and drink when making important agreements." The aliens looked at each other, their 6 eyes blinking rapidly. "We do not consume your nutrients." "Of course," the president continued smoothly, "but surely you would not deny us our customs in our final moments of independence." The Venturi hesitated, then agreed. As human attendants brought in trays of food and drinks, Major Kelly gave a slight nod to the security team. The air conditioning system had been modified according to Dr. Morris's specifications. It now pumped extra moisture into the room, so subtle that most humans wouldn't notice, but potentially irritating to the water-sensitive aliens. Within minutes, the lead Venturi began to show signs of discomfort. Its breathing became labored, and its skin colors shifted more rapidly. "Is something wrong?" President Wright asked innocently. "This atmosphere is not optimal," the alien replied. "Conclude this quickly." Outside the meeting hall, Olivia Martinez monitored the situation from a mobile command center. "It's working," she told Alan over the secure line. "Their vital signs are showing stress. The moisture is affecting them." Alan nodded. "Tell the Navy to proceed with Phase 2. Hundreds of miles away, the USS Defender, America's most advanced nuclear submarine, surfaced in the Pacific Ocean. Its crew had spent the last 24 hours modifying their missile payloads according to Alan's design. Instead of nuclear warheads, they now carried containers of a special compound, essentially concentrated water vapor mixed with Earth's unique atmospheric components. "Target locked," the submarine commander reported. "Firing in 3, 2, 1. The missiles launched, not aimed at the desert meeting site, but at the Venturi ship hovering in the upper atmosphere. The aliens, focused on the surrender negotiations, detected the launch too late. Back in the meeting room, the lead Venturi suddenly received an alert. "You deceive us," it accused, the colors on its skin now flashing rapidly. "Your weapons cannot harm our vessel." President Wright didn't flinch. "We're not trying to destroy your ship. We're simply introducing you to more of Earth's atmosphere. Consider it a sample of what you're trying to take." The Venturi rushed from the building toward their shuttle, but it was too late. The missiles had reached their target, releasing their payloads around the alien ship. Clouds of concentrated water vapor surrounded the vessel, being drawn into its ventilation systems. On screens worldwide, people watched as the mighty alien ship began to falter. Its smooth movement became erratic. Energy weapons fired randomly into space as systems malfunctioned. "It's working," Olivia shouted, watching the data pour in. "Their ship's systems are failing." Alan studied the readings carefully. "Not failing. They're trying to retreat. They know they've been outmaneuvered." The Venturi ship began to pull away from Earth, attempting to escape the cloud of moisture surrounding it. But the damage was done. Sensors showed multiple system failures throughout the vessel. In the desert, the 3 Venturi delegates found themselves surrounded by human military forces. Their shuttle, affected by the same atmospheric attack, could not take off. "You have 2 choices," President Wright told them calmly. "Surrender to us or try to breathe our air without your suits. Either way, the invasion is over." The lead Venturi's skin turned a dark purple, a sign of rage or possibly fear. "This is not possible. We studied your planet. You have no technology. That should threaten us." "You studied our technology," Major Kelly said, stepping forward. "You didn't study our planet itself. Earth protects its own." Within hours, news spread across the globe. The Venturi ship had retreated beyond Mars' orbit, crippled by Earth's simple defense. The 3 delegates were taken into custody, their protective suits studied by scientists eager to learn more about their weaknesses. In Washington, President Wright met with Alan, Olivia, and Major Kelly to discuss next steps. "They'll be back," Alan warned, "and next time they'll be prepared for our atmosphere." "Then we need to be ready," the president replied. "Dr. Morris, I want you to head a new international research team. Study everything about these aliens. Find more weaknesses." Major Kelly stepped forward. "Madam President, our intelligence suggests the Vanturi have conquered many worlds. What makes us different? Why were we able to resist when others couldn't?" President Wright looked thoughtful. "Perhaps that's the question we should be asking. The delegates. Why did they expect us to surrender without a fight? As night fell over a world forever changed by first contact, humanity began to prepare. The Vanturi had made a critical error in judgment. They had threatened Earth thinking humans would bow in fear. Instead, they discovered a species that had been waiting for someone to push them this far. 2 weeks passed since Earth's first victory against the Vanturi. The alien ship remained at a safe distance, apparently making repairs. On Earth, humans celebrated but also prepared. Everyone knew this was only the beginning. Dr. Alan Morris worked day and night with his international team of scientists. They studied the captured Vanturi delegates and their equipment. The aliens remained in special chambers that mimicked the dry atmosphere of their ship. "They won't talk to us," Alan told Major Samantha Kelly during her daily visit to the research facility in Nevada. "But their biology is fascinating. Their cells break down when exposed to our water. It's like acid to them." "Can we use that knowledge to create better weapons?" Kelly asked. Alan nodded. "Olivia has already designed delivery systems that can target their ships with concentrated water vapor. But I'm more interested in their communication technology." He showed her to a lab where Olivia Martinez was working with the alien devices taken from the delegates. "Look at this," Olivia said, pointing to a screen filled with strange symbols. "They don't just talk with sound, they use colors and patterns too. I think I've almost cracked their language." Major Kelly looked impressed. "The president will want to hear about this. She's meeting with world leaders tomorrow to discuss our next steps." At the White House, President Eleanor Wright faced a room filled with representatives from every major nation. The mood was cautious but hopeful. "The Vanturi threat is not over," she said firmly. "Our victory was significant but temporary. We need to unite all our resources and knowledge to prepare for what comes next." The Chinese president stood up. "Our scientists have studied the images of the alien ship. We believe there are weak points in its design that our combined forces could target. And my country has developed new missile systems based on Dr. Morris's water vapor concept," added the Russian leader. For the first time in history, countries that had been rivals for centuries worked together against a common threat. Military secrets were shared. Scientists collaborated across borders. A global defense system began to take shape. At the research facility, Alan made a breakthrough. "They're not just sensitive to water," he told his team excitedly. "They're allergic to bacteria, our bacteria. Their world must be sterile compared to Earth." Olivia looked up from her work. "So that's why they wanted to stay in orbit. They're afraid of our germs." This discovery led to a new plan. If the Vanturi returned, Earth would not just use water as a weapon. They would use what made Earth unique: its incredible diversity of life. The plan was put to the test sooner than expected. 3 weeks after their retreat, the Vanturi ship moved again. This time, it wasn't alone. 5 more vessels appeared from deep space, each as large as the first. "They've called for reinforcements," Major Kelly said grimly as she watched the sensor readings. President Wright called an emergency session of the new Global Defense Council. "They're coming back in force. Is our new defense system ready?" "Yes, Madam President," reported General William Payne. "We have water vapor missiles positioned around the globe. Our scientists have also prepared biological packages based on Dr. Morris's research." The council watched tensely as the alien fleet approached Earth. This time they stayed further away. Clearly cautious after their first encounter, a message came through on all channels. A new Vanturi appeared on screens worldwide. "Humans. It said, its voice colder than the first contact. Your resistance was unexpected but futile. You now face the full might of the Venturi Collective. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. President Wright's response was broadcast from the United Nations building in New York, a symbol of Earth's unity. Venturi Collective, she said calmly. We refused your demands before, we refuse them now. Earth is our home and we will defend it. The attack began immediately. Hundreds of smaller Venturi ships entered Earth's upper atmosphere, targeting military installations and power plants. Unlike the first attack, they avoided coming too low, staying where the air was thinner and drier. But humanity was ready. Air forces worldwide launched special aircraft designed to release clouds of water vapor at high altitudes. The Venturi ships tried to avoid them, but there were too many. Several alien vessels began to falter as their systems were exposed to Earth's moisture. On the ground, Alan and Olivia monitored the battle from their command center. It's working, Olivia said as they watched radar tracking the enemy ships. But they're adapting quickly. They're using energy shields to vaporize the water before it reaches them. Alan nodded. That's why we have Plan B. In space, a dozen satellites that had been secretly modified in the past weeks activated. They didn't carry weapons but something more powerful, specially designed transmission systems. Based on Alan's research into Venturi communication, these satellites began broadcasting on frequencies that the aliens used for their ship operations. The effect was immediate. Several Venturi vessels suddenly lost control, their systems confused by the signals that mimicked their own commands. They began firing at each other or moving erratically. We're in their network, Alan exclaimed. Kyle's program worked. Kyle Bennett was a computer genius who had joined Alan's team after the first attack. He had created a virus specifically, designed to infiltrate the alien systems based on the technology recovered from the delegates. In orbit, chaos spread through the Venturi fleet. Their ships, which had been in perfect formation, now moved randomly. Some crashed into each other. Others fired weapons at empty space. The main Venturi vessel attempted to restore order, sending override commands to its fleet. But Earth's satellites intercepted these signals and corrupted them. President Wright watched the battle unfold from the Situation Room. How long can we maintain this advantage? She asked General Payne. Not long, he admitted. They're already trying to block our signals, but we've hurt them badly. Indeed, several Venturi ships were retreating, damaged by the electronic warfare and water vapor attacks. But the main vessel and about half the fleet remained, adjusting their systems to counter Earth's defenses. Alan saw the change on his monitors. They're switching to backup communication systems. We need to deploy the final phase now. Around the world, special rockets launched toward the Venturi fleet. These didn't carry explosives or even water vapor. Instead, they contained something the aliens feared more: Earth's microscopic life. Bacteria, harmless to humans but potentially devastating to the sterile Venturi biology, were carried into space in carefully designed containers. The rockets exploded near the alien ships, releasing clouds of microscopic organisms that were drawn into the vessels through damage in their hulls or through ventilation systems. Within hours, reports came from the observation posts tracking the Venturi fleet. The alien ships were withdrawing, returning to deep space beyond Mars. Earth had won again, not through superior firepower, but through the unique aspects of its own nature. Water, bacteria, the very things that made Earth livable for humans had become weapons against the invaders. As the alien fleet retreated, people around the world celebrated. But in the Nevada research facility, Alan made a startling discovery while examining the communication records from the battle. They weren't just talking to each other, he told Olivia and Major Kelly. They were reporting to someone else, something out there watching. The three of them looked at the data showing signals sent toward deep space far beyond the solar system. This isn't over, Major Kelly said quietly. 1 month after the second Venturi attack, Earth remained on high alert. The alien fleet had retreated beyond Neptune, but everyone knew they would return. This time, humanity wanted to be more than just reactive. They needed to understand their enemy In the Nevada research facility, a breakthrough finally happened. One of the Venturi delegates agreed to communicate. Alan Morris sat across from the alien in a special room designed to keep the atmosphere dry and comfortable for the visitor. "Why did you choose Earth?" Alan asked directly. The Venturi's skin rippled with colors before it spoke. "Your world was marked as suitable for harvesting. Your species was expected to surrender. Like the others you've conquered?" The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Hundreds of worlds have joined the collective. None fought back as effectively as yours." This confirmed what Earth's leaders had suspected. The Venturi had a vast empire, built by intimidating less advanced civilizations into submission. Alan leaned forward. "Who were you reporting to during the battle?" "We detected signals sent to deep space." The Venturi's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. "You detected those? Impressive. The hegemony monitors all expansion efforts." "The hegemony? There's something beyond the Venturi collective?" "The collective serves the hegemony," the alien said simply, "as all must eventually serve." This information was immediately shared with President Wright and the Global Defense Council. Earth wasn't just facing the Venturi, but potentially a much larger alien alliance. "We need to learn more," President Wright told her advisors, "and we need better defenses. If the Venturi return with an even larger force, our current strategies may not be enough." Major Samantha Kelly proposed a bold plan. "What if we don't wait for them to attack again? What if we take the fight to them?" The idea seemed impossible, until Olivia Martinez made another discovery while studying the alien technology. "Their ships use a form of faster-than-light travel," she explained during an emergency council meeting, "and I think we can adapt it to our own vessels." Kyle Bennett nodded in agreement. "The programming is complex but not impossible to understand. We could modify the USS Defender with this technology." The plan was ambitious and risky. The submarine, USS Defender, would be converted into Earth's first spaceship. Its mission would be to approach the Venturi fleet, gather intelligence, and possibly open direct communication. Work began immediately. The world's best engineers and scientists focused on the conversion. The submarine's nuclear power plant was modified based on Venturi energy systems. Its hull was strengthened to withstand space travel. Most importantly, its computers were upgraded with alien technology to enable faster-than-light jumps. 3 weeks later, the USS Defender was ready for its historic mission. Its crew, led by Captain John Rivera, included Major Kelly as military liaison and Kyle Bennett to manage the alien technology systems. "Your mission is to observe only," President Wright told them during the final briefing. "Do not engage unless absolutely necessary. We need information more than confrontation right now." The launch was kept secret from the public to avoid panic. The USS Defender left Earth's atmosphere using conventional rockets before activating its new drive system. The jump to the edge of the solar system took only minutes, a journey that would have required years with human technology. The ship emerged near Neptune, quickly activating its stealth systems. Ahead, the Venturi fleet was visible, clearly making repairs to their damaged vessels. "They're vulnerable," Captain Rivera observed as they watched from a safe distance. "We could strike now and cripple their fleet." Major Kelly shook her head. "That's not our mission. We need to gather intel and return safely." Kyle worked at his console, scanning the alien communications. "There's something strange happening. They're receiving a transmission from outside. The solar system, it's massive, much more data than they've sent before." The crew watched as the Venturi fleet suddenly changed formation. The damaged ships moved to the rear while 3 undamaged vessels moved forward, orienting themselves toward deep space. "Something's coming," Major Kelly said quietly. She was right. Space seemed to ripple and a new ship appeared. It was unlike the Venturi vessels, sleeker, darker, and much larger. It moved with an elegance the other ships lacked. "That must be from the hegemony," Kyle whispered. The USS Defender remained hidden, recording everything as the new ship approached the Venturi fleet. The crew was tense. knowing they were witnessing a pivotal moment in Earth's first contact with alien civilizations. Suddenly, Kyle gasped. "They're scanning this region of space. They might detect us." Captain Rivera made a quick decision. "Prepare to jump back to Earth. We have what we came for." Before they could activate the drive, a beam of energy shot from the hegemony ship, enveloping the USS Defender in pale blue light. "We're being scanned directly," Kyle reported, his voice tight with fear. "They know we're here." A voice came through their communication system speaking perfect English. "Earth vessel, maintain your position. We wish to communicate." The crew looked at each other in shock. The hegemony ship had not only detected them but was reaching out peacefully. Major Kelly took a deep breath. "This is Major Samantha Kelly of Earth. We are on a peaceful mission to gather information." "We know why you are here," the voice replied. "And we have been waiting for this meeting for a very long time." Captain Rivera frowned. "What do you mean, waiting? The Venturi only found Earth recently." "The Venturi serve their purpose," the voice said. "They test emerging worlds. Those who surrender join the collective as resource providers. Those who resist effectively, those who show ingenuity, courage, and unity, are of interest to the hegemony." Understanding dawned on Major Kelly's face. This was all a test? The ultimatum? The attacks? A necessary evaluation. "Your world has shown remarkable potential. The Venturi expected your surrender. They were not prepared for water weapons or biological agents. Most impressively, you have adapted our technology for your own use in mere weeks." The crew of the USS Defender struggled to process this information. Their entire understanding of the situation had just been upended. "What happens now?" Captain Rivera asked. "Now we meet properly," the voice said. "Return to Earth and prepare your leaders. The hegemony wishes to open formal relations with your world, not as conquerors or subjects, but as potential equals." As the USS Defender prepared to jump back to Earth with this extraordinary news, Major Kelly looked out at the massive hegemony ship. All this time, they were just watching to see how we would react. Kyle nodded slowly. "When they said we've been waiting for someone to push us this far, they weren't talking about the Venturi being pushed by us. They were talking about Earth being pushed by the Venturi," Captain Rivera finished. "And we passed their test." The USS Defender activated its drive, returning to Earth to deliver news that would forever change humanity's place in the universe. The return of the USS Defender caused a global sensation. Captain Rivera, Major Kelly, and Kyle Bennett were immediately taken to Washington to brief President Wright and the Global Defense Council. The news they brought was hard to believe. "You're telling me this entire conflict was a test?" President Wright asked, her voice showing rare signs of strain. Major Kelly nodded. "According to the hegemony representative, yes, they use the Venturi to identify species with potential. Those who surrender become resource providers. Those who fight back and show innovation are considered for something more." The council room fell silent as everyone processed this information. It seemed both insulting and fascinating that an advanced alien civilization would test others in such a dangerous way. "And now they want to meet?" asked the Chinese president through the video link. "They requested a formal meeting with Earth's leaders," Captain Rivera confirmed. "Their exact words were, not as conquerors or subjects, but as potential equals." After much debate, the council agreed to the meeting, but with strict conditions. It would take place in neutral space, on a platform built specifically for this purpose in Earth orbit. Security would be provided equally by human forces and hegemony representatives. Most importantly, all communications would be transparent and broadcast to the people of Earth. 3 days later, the meeting was set. The platform, hastily constructed using modified space station components, hung in low Earth orbit. President Wright led a delegation that included leaders from major nations and key individuals who had helped Earth survive the Venturi attacks: Dr. Alan Morris, Olivia Martinez, Major Kelly, and Kyle Bennett. The hegemony ship appeared precisely at the arranged time. It moved with impossible grace, taking position near the platform. A smaller vessel detached from it and docked smoothly with the human structure. The door opened, and for the first time, humans saw members of the hegemony in person. They were nothing like the Venturi. Tall and graceful, they had iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with their movements. Their eyes, 4 per being, were large and showed an intelligence that was immediately apparent. The lead representative stepped forward. "I am Saren, Speaker for the Hegemony Council. We are pleased to meet humanity directly." President Wright maintained her composure. "I am Eleanor Wright, President of the United States and spokesperson for Earth's Global Defense Council. We welcome this meeting but have many questions about your methods and intentions." Saren nodded, a surprisingly human gesture. "That is understandable. Please, ask what you wish to know." Dr. Morris spoke up first. "Why test us with conflict? Why not simply introduce yourselves peacefully?" "History has taught us caution," Saren explained. "In our early development, we encountered species that appeared peaceful but harbored conquest in their hearts. Others were simply unprepared for galactic citizenship. The Venturi method, while seemingly cruel, reveals the true nature and potential of a civilization." "By threatening them?" Major Kelly asked sharply. "By presenting a challenge that reveals character," Saren corrected. "Think of how your world responded. Nations that were once rivals united against a common threat. You shared knowledge, developed new technologies, and showed remarkable creativity in your defenses. Most importantly, you protected your world without seeking to destroy your opponent completely. These are the qualities we value." President Wright frowned. "And those who surrender to the Venturi? They become part of the collective, providing resources and receiving protection. They are not harmed, but they are not ready for full participation in the greater galactic community." Olivia leaned forward. "You mentioned galactic citizenship. What exactly does that mean?" For the first time, Saren's expression showed something like enthusiasm. "The hegemony is not merely an empire, as you might assume. It is a coalition of species working together for mutual benefit and protection. There are wonders beyond your solar system, and dangers too. No single species can face them alone." Over the next several hours, the humans learned about the structure of galactic civilization. The hegemony included over 40 advanced species, each bringing unique perspectives and abilities. They maintained peace across thousands of worlds and protected developing civilizations from exploitation. They shared knowledge but had strict rules about technology transfer to prevent misuse. "And now you want Earth to join?" Kyle asked. "Not immediately," Saren replied. "Full membership requires preparation, but we offer partnership as a first step. We will share certain technologies, clean energy, medical advances, improved space travel. In return, we ask for cultural exchange, and for Earth to eventually help test other emerging worlds." The human delegation requested time to discuss this offer privately. In their separate chamber, opinions were divided. "This could be another trap," warned the Russian president. "They could be luring us into lowering our defenses." "But think of the benefits," countered Olivia. "The scientific advances alone would be worth it." President Wright listened to all views before speaking. "If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so already. Their technology is far beyond ours. I believe their offer is genuine, but we should proceed with caution." When they returned to the main chamber, President Wright delivered Earth's response. "We accept your offer of partnership, but with conditions. Any technology transfer must be gradual and transparent. Earth will maintain its independent defense capabilities. Cultural exchange will be open but voluntary for our citizens, and we reserve the right to withdraw from this arrangement at any time." Saren's skin shifted to a warm gold color. "Your caution is wise and expected. These terms are acceptable to the hegemony." The agreement was formalized in what would later be called the First Galactic Charter. As the document was signed, Alan whispered to Major Kelly, "Do you realize what just happened? We're the first generation of humans to make contact with alien life, and now we're the first to join a galactic community." Major Kelly smiled slightly. all because we refused to surrender when threatened. Back on Earth, people gathered in homes, public squares, and places of worship to watch the historics broadcast. The reaction was mixed. Wonder, fear, excitement, skepticism, but a new sense of unity prevailed. Humanity now saw itself not just as separate nations but as a single world among many. In the weeks that followed, preparations began for the new partnership. Educational systems were updated to include information about galactic civilizations. Scientists eagerly collaborated with hegemony specialists to understand new technologies. Military leaders worked with alien counterparts to establish protocols for space security. 6 months after the signing of the charter, the first Earth embassy opened on a hegemony world. Dr. Alan Morris was selected as the chief ambassador, with Olivia Martinez as his deputy. Major Kelly led the security detail and Kyle Bennett headed the technical team. As their ship approached the alien world, Alan stood at the viewport, watching the unfamiliar stars. "I never imagined our lives would change so completely," he said to Olivia beside him. "All because the Vanturi didn't realize water would hurt them," she replied with a smile. "No," Alan said thoughtfully. "All because when pushed to our limits, humans don't surrender. We innovate, we cooperate, and we overcome." As Earth's first ambassadors prepared to represent humanity among the stars, the words of the hegemony took on new meaning. "We've been waiting for someone to push us this far. Hadn't been about the Vanturi at all. It had been about humanity, Adao, species with the potential to join the galactic community as equals, not subjects. And now that journey was just beginning."